Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Okay, I have too many eyeshadow palettes, just way too many. So today we're doing an eyeshadow palette declutter. Woohoo, I'm excited. I've been wanting to do this for a while because I'm just getting a little overwhelmed with the amount of eyeshadow palettes I have, and I need to just go through them, really only keep the ones that I am using or ones I think I will use in the future. Quick disclaimer before we get started, I'm not just throwing these in the trash. I'm going to donate any ones that I'm able to donate, and I'm also going to see if friends or family members want other ones as well. Some of them are probably going to be old that I'm going to need to get rid of, unfortunately, but overall, I'm not going to just trash these. I am going to try to find a new home for them because a lot of them are good palettes. I'm just not reaching for them, or I don't like them for specific reasons. Also, I'm not just going to lay it all out here like I normally do for declutters. That sounds very daunting to pull them all out, have them just all here in front of me. I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to pull out a couple at a time, go through them, pull out a couple more, and go in sections. So let's get started. I don't really plan on grouping like brands together throughout this declutter, but honestly I might, because I do have a lot of brands grouped together near each other, like all my McGrath motherships together or my Natasha Denona together, so it might be by brand-ish. I hope you guys are okay with that. So let's start off with Colourpop. I have a lot of Colourpop palettes. As you can see, they are affordable, they're usually really good quality, and somehow over the past year or so I have found myself on Colourpop's PR list. I don't receive everything, thankfully, because I just couldn't review all of that for you guys, but I do receive some PR from them, which I'm super grateful for. So some of these have been sent in PR and some I bought myself. I will try to let you know what they are as we go. I'm gonna try to be pretty cutthroat with this declutter, you guys. I really am. The Star Wars Mandalorian palette, I'm actually gonna keep this. I love this. I love the tones. I love the quality of it. It's a really beautiful palette. I don't use it enough because I have too many. So I'm hoping once I go through this declutter, I will use the palettes I keep more, because I'll have less cluttering up everything. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this. I'm also going to keep the Honey palette. I don't think this is available anymore, sadly, but this is a beautiful palette, and it's oddly wearable for the fact that it is all yellows. I've used this many times on my channel in the past, and I always love the look that I make with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep this. Both of those I bought myself, and I also bought both of these myself, the She's Got Solstice and All Things Equinox. These were years ago. Like, you guys might not even remember some of these palettes because they were so long ago, and Colourpop just goes through palettes very, very quickly. But both of them, I never really loved the quality. The All Things Equinox, it's a pretty color story, but I just don't ever really reach for it. And then She's Got Solstice, I actually used more than the other one, but again, just not the best quality for Colourpop. These mattes are pretty powdery. They kind of fluff away, and I didn't love the shimmers. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of both of those. The On the List, this was sent to me in PR. I never used it. I'm really careful about Colourpop palettes. When I receive them in PR, I only keep them and use them if I really truly think I will keep them and use them. I'm not going to just use them once for a video and never use them again kind of thing. And this was one of those where I wasn't sure if I was going to actually use it or not. And looking at it now, I don't think I'm going to. It's a pretty palette. I'm sure it's decent quality, and I'm, again, really thankful I was in it in PR, but I just don't think I will use it, and I'd rather give it to a home fresh and brand new and unused. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this along. Another one sent to me in PR was the Twilight one that they just released. I did go ahead and use this in that video, but I've used it off camera as well, and I like this palette, you guys. I think it's really pretty, great quality from what I have used so far, so I'm going to be keeping this. I'll go ahead and get these quads out of the way. I want to say I bought some of these, and I also received some in PR, so I don't know if I'll be able to say which ones were which, because I honestly don't really remember, but I'm going to just go through them really quickly. We have this one right here called Cream Soda. As you can tell, I've actually used this many times. I don't know. Let me put this in a maybe pile. I feel like I'm gonna have trouble getting rid of these quads because they're so just like cute and compact and good quality, but I don't need all of them. This blue one right here, I broke it. Unfortunately, I dropped it, but this is Wait and See. Not a color story I'm going to use all the time, but I actually love this and it's beautiful, so I'm going to keep this. Then we have, if the lighting goes in and out, I'm sorry, it's a sunny day, but cloudy, so it's going in and out of the clouds. I don't know if it's going to be changing on camera, but if it is, I'm sorry about that. This one right here is called Sorbet. I feel like I used this one quite a few times, but I didn't love it, and the two shimmers look the same on the eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one. Then we have On the mango, love this, absolutely stunning, beautiful. All 4 of them are different on the eyes, so I'm going to keep this. I don't know how like in depth I should go with these because I don't know if they're available anymore. This one right here called Beachy Keen. If this is still available, it's a really great dupe for the Natasha Denona Mini Nude palette. So if you love that palette but you don't want to spend the money and this one's still available, this is beautiful as well. Do I need to keep it because of that? Because I have the Natasha Denona one? Probably not. Probably not. I'm gonna see if a friend wants this. This one right here is called Strawberry Sweet. Very beautiful. I think I'm gonna go ahead and keep this one. This one I've never even used, you guys. This is what I'm saying. I have so many palettes in my collection that I haven't even gotten a chance to use yet. That is how, like, that's how overwhelmed I am. So this is called An Emerald Away. I actually purchased this one myself because I thought it just looked so stunning. I still think that maybe one day I will get a chance to use it. So I'm gonna keep this. This one right here is called Dare to Bear. I don't think I've even used this one either. Yeah, this is brand spanking new. And you know what? I have quite a few all matte palettes. I bought this one too, I'm pretty sure. I have quite a few all matte palettes, as you will see coming up. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this one along while it's brand new and unused and someone can get some use out of it. Then we have Shellbound. I actually don't love these warm tones and shades, and these two look like they would be pretty similar on the eye. So I'm going to pass this one along. Same thing with this Sure Thing. I think this is really pretty, but it's like, do I need it? I probably don't. I actually think I'm going to keep this one. And then this one right here is called Offset You Baby. Very purple, very pretty, very unique. I think I'm going to go ahead and keep this one. Okay, back to this one. Cream Soda. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it. I shouldn't, but I'm going to. Okay. Then we have these 3 right here. Was a collection a couple years ago. All 3 sent to me in PR. I'm unfortunately going to get rid of all of them. I just didn't love them. So Coast is Clear. I don't know. I've talked about these in the past. They just weren't pigmented. The shimmers are a little bit on the lackluster side. We have Clearly in Love. The mattes just didn't really do it for me. Just kind of everything about these palettes. Lastly, we have Clear the Air. I didn't really love. So I'm going to declutter all 3 of those. Then we have the Enchanted palette and the Fairy Well palette. These came in a collection in PR too. This is a really unique palette in my collection. I don't have many things like it, so I'm like, should I keep it? I think I might keep it for now, and I'll decide in a little bit. The Fairy Well palette, though, I am going to go ahead and declutter. It's beautiful. It's neutral shades, though, and I have a ton of neutrals, and I think that I would reach for other neutral palettes over this one. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this one along. Going Coconuts, you would have to pry out of my hands. I love it so much. They actually sent me a new one in PR recently, like a refresh, and I am keeping that one as well because I just love this palette. I definitely always want it in my collection. Same thing with That Taupe. You would have to pry this out of my hands. As you can tell, it is super beat up and well loved. I bought a backup of this that I haven't opened yet, but I will one day because I can't not have this palette in my collection. I love it so much. In the Limelight, I'm going to keep just because it's really unique in my collection, but I will say the couple of times I've used it, I was a little underwhelmed with the mattes. They just weren't as oomphy as I wanted them to be. If I'm going to wear this lime green, bright green color, I want it to show up lime green, bright green on my eyes. And it kind of didn't. So, not my favorite quality, but I love the color story, so I am going to keep it. All Amethyst. Oh, this palette, man, it is stunning. Oh, and the couple times I've used it, I did like it. So you know what? I'm going to keep this one, but I'm going to go ahead and pass along the Enchanted palette then, because while they have different tones and they're not really the same purples, this is more dark and muted and this is more bright and poppy, I would reach for these purples over these purples. So I'm going to keep All Amethyst and pass on Enchanted. And then we have the Flirty Talk. This was their Valentine's Day collection last year. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. Unfortunately, I didn't hate it when I used it, but a lot of these shades kind of ended up looking very similar on the eyes. And if I'm going to reach for these pinky, beautiful tones, I'm going to go ahead and use the Natasha Denona Love palette instead. So I'm going to pass this one along. And then we have a couple of their mega palettes. I actually only purchased one of these. The other 3 were sent to me in PR. We have Bare Necessities. I love this palette. I truly do. I think it's stunning. Every time I've used it, I have loved my looks. So I'm definitely going to keep this one. And then we have So Jaded. This is old and probably not really good anymore. Like it might be getting expired, but I love this color story and I love Kathleen Lights. So I'm going to keep this. I don't know how much use I will get out of it, but I am going to go ahead and keep this one. Then these other two were sent to me PR, like I said, but I haven't used them yet because I'm like, do I need to keep them or should I pass them along kind of thing? So we have Smoke and Roses. Both of them are beautiful. It's not that I don't like them. Like, I love pink tones like this. They're muted, they're pretty. These shimmers just look stunning. So like, I think I would really like these. And then the Stone Cold Fox, I wanted this palette forever, like truly for a really, really long time. And I just never bit the bullet and bought it. And then they sent it to me PR, but it just kind of looks like a bigger version of That's Taupe and Going Coconuts, which I already love both of those. So it's like, do I need this one as well? No, but I'm going to keep both of them for now and just kind of decide as I'm going along my life coming up the next couple months if I end up using them or not, or if I want to give them to a friend or donate them. So that's on the Colourpop. Let's move on to another brand. I don't think I'm gonna go by brand for the whole video, but let's go ahead and do ABH while we're at it. So Anastasia Beverly Hills, I love their palettes and I love their quality of their palettes. So I'm probably gonna keep a lot of these, but first we have the Primrose palette. Absolutely one of my favorite palettes ever. Stunning, beautiful, love the blushes, love the shimmers, love the mattes. Everything about this palette I am here for. 100% keeping. Then we have the Nouveau palette. I actually really like this. I don't use it as much as I should, but when I do use it, I like it. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this. Then we have Sultry. I don't use this as much as I thought I was going to be honest. I wanted this palette for years and years and years, and then they got rid of it, and then they brought it back, and I snagged it because I was like, oh my gosh, it's going away forever. I can't not own this palette, and I just don't really use it very much. That pearl shade looks super used because it came broken and I had to like stuff it back in there. But other than that, you can tell I don't use this palette very often, but it's still pretty, so I'm gonna keep it. And then we have the, Jackie Aina palette. Love this. I can't get rid of this. I think it's so beautiful, stunning, unique to my collection. I love this palette. We also have the First Norvina palette, another good one that I should use more. And every time I use it, I love my looks, so I'm gonna keep this one. Then we have the Carly Bible palette. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this one. The only shade I absolutely love in here is this gold mousse shade, but like I could get a gold shade many other places, you know what I mean? Like I don't need to keep this palette for that gold. So I am gonna go ahead and declutter that one. Modern Renaissance, very beautiful. Such a cult classic staple palette that I don't use very much. I think I'm going to keep it though. I'm going to keep Modern Renaissance, but I think I'm going to go ahead and get rid of Soft Glam. I just don't vibe with this palette. I thought I was going to, and I just don't. So I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one. And then this little baby Norvina Mini Pro Pigment Palette Volume 2. My sister bought me this a couple years ago for my birthday, so it holds like kind of special, you know, place in my heart because of that. And these are really unique colors to my collection. I don't own a lot of, but I also don't wear them very often. I am going to keep this though. Okay, so I got rid of 2 ABH palettes. Not very many, but better than 0, right? All right, I'm 99% sure that this is the rest of my drugstore palettes from all different brands. Everything else should be more mid-range, high-end, or the brands that I don't really know. They're more like indie brands, and I'm like, I don't really know if they're drugstore or not. So let's go ahead and do my drugstore ones. We have the CoverGirl Clean Color eyeshadow palettes. This one right here is Dreamy Pink, and then we also have Mellow Mauve. Yeah, Mellow Mauve. Okay, I love Dreamy Pink with my whole entire heart. This is such a beautiful palette. Oh my gosh, stunning, and only a couple dollars, and I love it. So I'm definitely keeping this. And because I love this one so much, I bought this one, and I haven't used it, guys. Haven't used it. I'm not sure why I bought this one. You know what I mean? Because like I'm not into like purples and pinks. Like I am. Sorry, don't misquote me. Like I am into purples and pinks, but like I'm not on it every day. But I have a feeling that when I finally just suck it up and put this on my eyes, it's not going to turn out as purpley as I think. I think they're going to be more wearable. It's this shade, man. This shade's kind of tripping me up, but I think it's going to be fine. So I'm going to keep this. The Milani Gilded Mini in Wind Down. No, definitely not. Definitely going to get rid of this one. Don't like it. Don't like the quality. The mattes are good. But these 3 shimmers, no, not good at all. So unfortunately, I'm going to be, well, not unfortunately, but I am going to be getting rid of this. I'm also going to pass along these 2 AOA Studio palettes. This is the Fairy Garden, and we also have Flower Child. I liked them when I used them. They were good quality. They performed well. They were pigmented. Anything you would want in an eyeshadow palette, but I'm just not reaching for them, and I want them to go to a home where they are going to get more use. Then we have the Catrice 5 in a Box Mini Eyeshadow Palette in Soft Rose Look. Could not, you guys, I feel so bad saying this, but this is probably one of the worst palettes I've ever used. I mean, seriously, the mattes are not pigmented at all, and the shimmers are super lackluster. So, going to be passing this one along. This Pixie by Petra palette, I used to love this palette. This is the Natural Beauty one. I'm not sure if they still make this. I kind of think they do. I used to be obsessed with this palette a couple years ago. I used it all the time, especially for work. However, I'm not reaching for it anymore. If I do want these neutral tones, I'm going to reach for something else. And this is going on like 5 or 6 years old. I am not someone who goes by expiration dates, like truly I don't, especially with powder products because, oh, I just got my finger in that. Especially powder products because they do last so much longer, you know, than the shelf life. But this one is getting old. It's getting up there. So I'm going to go ahead and probably throw this one away, sadly. I hate throwing away makeup. It's so wasteful. I know it's bad for the environment, but this is just super old. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. Then we have 3 of the Essence palettes, Dancing Green, Rose, My Rose Will Go On, and Bronze This Way. I don't know, guys. I don't like, there's nothing wrong with them, but it's like I'm not reaching for them. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get rid of Bronze This Way. My Rose Will Go On. This one I actually didn't love as much as the other 2. This was like part 2 of the collection they came out with after the original 6 or something like that. And I just didn't think that this was that great of quality. So I'm going to go ahead and pass that one along. And then Dancing Green, I'll keep this one. I'll keep this one. Then we have the Flower Beauty Jungle Lights palette. I think that these shadows are beautiful. I just never reach for them, especially since I am into a more subtle sort of shimmer these days. And really the only ones I use is this one and this one anyways, but I can't let this go. There's something pulling me to this palette that like won't let me declutter it. So I'm going to keep this. Then we have the Juvia's Place Nubian 3 Coral palette. This has survived many, many declutters. And I just don't use it. Sadly, I just don't use it. Every declutter, I keep it and I think I'm going to keep it and see if I use it. And if I'm not, I'm going to get rid of it. Well, that's happened like 3 declutters now and I'm still not using it. So it's a beautiful palette. From what I remember, the quality is great, but I'm going to pass this along because I'm just not using it. Then we have some BH Cosmetics. Rest in peace, BH Cosmetics. I miss them so much. This is Avocado Toast. I love this. I'm going to keep it. It's beautiful. Yep, definitely going to keep this one. Then we have Hanging in Hawaii. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and keep this one too. Yeah, this is beautiful. Then we have Smitten in Switzerland. This is one of my favorite palettes. I love how unique it is. It's stunning, beautiful, great quality. And then we have Lost in Los Angeles, I believe this one is. This is definitely not a color story I use very much, but I can't get rid of these palettes. I just can't for some reason. Something about them, I can't. And then we have the Nomad from Juvia's Place. This is another one that has survived many declutters that I kept saying I'll use, and then I never did. But man, these shades are just stunning. These are so pretty though. All right, I'm gonna keep this one. I shouldn't. Let's see if I actually use it after this declutter, but I'm gonna keep this one. Yeah, this is beautiful. Okay, I pulled out a whole bunch more now. This is kind of like a big concoction of a bunch of different brands. I'm just gonna kind of grab and go. So we have the Viseart Petits 4 Lila's palette. I'm gonna keep this. I think this is really cute. It's a really simple eye look that you can make with it, but they perform very nicely, and I don't know, I just really like this cute mini palette. Also, I have the Kashmiri palette from Viseart. I don't love this one as much as I thought I was going to. The color story is just a little bit off to me. I look at this and I'm kind of confused on what kind of looks I can make, like the mattes and shimmers together. Also, the first time I tried this, I was not impressed with the shimmers because they are just like satiny kind of eyeshadows, and I was used to more like wham bam thank you ma'am, and these don't do that, which is fine. I'm actually more into that these days, so I'm gonna keep this, but I don't know how much use I'll get out of it in the future, but I don't feel ready to let it go quite yet. Then we have this one right here from Lawless, the baby one. I got sent this in PR, I'm pretty sure through an Ipsy box a while ago. I haven't had Ipsy in a while, so maybe it wasn't through that. I don't know. I'm 99% sure I got this in PR though. As you can see, I haven't used it yet. So part of me wants to give it away because I haven't used it, because it could go to a, you know, good home, not unused. But I also haven't tried Lawless Shadows. But then again, I haven't really heard good things about Lawless Shadows. You know what? I think I am going to go ahead and give it away though, because I'm looking at these mattes here and none of them are super light, so I feel like I would have a hard time making an eye look with it. These shimmers actually look really pretty, and like I said, I haven't tried Lawless, so part of me wants to keep it for that, but I think that this will be better in a home that will get more use out of it, so I'm going to donate that. We have this one right here from Half Cake Beauty, Your Eyes Only. I'm in love with this palette. It makes the most beautiful, simple, everyday eye look. The shimmers are stunning. They're not too aggressive or pigmented or anything. Like, none of the mattes are super pigmented either. But every time I use this eyeshadow, I just feel so pretty in it. This is one of my favorite palettes. I'm definitely going to be keeping it. Then we have all three right here from M Cosmetics. So this is her Divine Skies eyeshadow palettes. This is in Venetian Rose. I think this one is pretty. Yeah, I'm going to keep this one. I'm also going to keep this one right here in Magic Hour. Oh, sorry, I wasn't focusing. In Magic Hour, I absolutely love this little palette. I think it's beautiful, and just every time I make an eye look with it, I really enjoy it. However, the one that really bummed me out was this one right here called Rodin. I don't know. Something about these shadows just didn't really, oh, there we go. I couldn't open it. Just didn't really impress me. The mattes were just kind of meh. And then the shimmers, like, I don't know. These two don't really have much pigmentation. And this one was supposed to be a topper. But as you can see, I've like dug in there and it doesn't really add anything when I add it on top. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one, but keep the other two. Another one I'm going to get rid of is this one here from Base Blue Cosmetics. This is their Artist eyeshadow palette, Meet. I'm not entirely sure what this is called, but this is so cool because this is like that famous painting, The Girl with the Pearl, I'm pretty sure is what it's called. So this is like a really beautiful palette. I think that Base Blue's concepts behind their palettes and their collections are so unique that no other brand is doing anything like it, that it's like to my knowledge. So for that, I think it's so cool. But as far as like a palette I'm going to reach for and use, I'm not going to use this. So I'm going to go ahead and donate this. Then we have this one right here from So Susan Cosmetics. I got this in PR forever ago. I'm talking like 5 or 6 years ago at this point. It's been a really, really long time. I had always kept this through different declutters because I remember them being really beautiful, just satiny shades that complemented like any mattes that I used with it. However, I did use it recently, like a couple months ago, to try to jog my memory and see if it really is as good as I remember, and sadly it wasn't. I think it's just gone off. It's really old, so I'm going to get rid of this one. Then we have the Laura Lee Los Angeles Nudie No. 2 palette, one of my favorite palettes ever. I love this. Another one you'd have to pry out of my hands, definitely keeping. We have two right here from Buxom. Both of them were sent to me in PR. This is their Straight Up Eye and Cheek palette. I love this little palette. I think it's so pretty. I get the most beautiful, simple eye look with these two brown shades. I'm going to keep this. And this one, their Summer Babe palette, I never got a chance to try. When I'm looking at it, it looks so pretty, but I'm just wondering if like these bronzers would even go with my skin tone. I kind of think that they would be too dark and orange maybe. So I think, as much as I don't really want to, because I think this is a beautiful palette and I think all of these shimmers would be stunning, especially these two right here. Oh, but I think I'm going to go ahead and pass this along. I think it would work better with another skin tone, and I'd rather pass it along unused than me try it out and find out that these don't work for me. You know what I mean? So as much as I don't want to let you go, I am going to, and you're going to find a better home that will love you and use you way more than I will. Then we have these two right here from Sydney Grace, the Enduring Love palette and the Tiny Marvels palette. I'm keeping both of these. I love them so incredibly much. This palette just, oh, you just look at it. And these shimmers are so special. Sydney Grace's formula is amazing. And then the Tiny Marvels palette, not only is it just an amazing palette, but Mel Thompson is the one who created this with Sydney Grace. And unfortunately, she has passed away. Rest in peace, Mel Thompson. So I would never give this up. Plus, the color story is just so stinking beautiful. And again, Sydney Grace's formula is one of the best out there. So keeping both of those. Then we have two Lunar Beauty palettes as well. The first one being the, oops, upside down, the Nude Prism palette. I don't use this as much as I thought I was going to. However, it's a new palette to me, new-ish to me. So I am going to keep it. The thing that I don't like about it is I really only use like these two shimmers. I don't really like any of the other shimmers. And then the mattes, like I don't really reach for any of these dark ones either. So then it's like, at that point, it's a really neutral palette with a couple shimmers that I use. And I could get those shades in other palettes. But for now, I am going to go ahead and keep this. I think I'm going to give away the Eternal Eclipse though. It is stunning and beautiful, but I've only used it a couple times, so I feel like I would still be able to donate it. It still looks pretty brand spanking new. The quality on this is beautiful. It's not really that. It's just more the color story. I don't really reach for it. So I'm going to go ahead and donate this one. These three from What's Up Beauty were all sent to me in PR. The one that I have gotten a chance to try is this Geodes palette. It was really beautiful when I tried it. I think their formula, from what I remember, is a good formula. They're mattes and they're shimmers. These look like a little more intense than what I'm really going for these days, but I definitely want to keep this. I think it's beautiful. And then these two I haven't had a chance to try. This is their Dragon Eye palette. It just looks really pretty, like especially those greens, ooh, and those two purples right there. This looks stunning, and I want to try it. And then also their Desert Monsoon palette, I almost said Moonstone, Monsoon palette, also looks really, really pretty, and I just haven't really had a chance to try it, so I want to keep all three of those. And then I also got sent in PR the Alter Ego Coastal palette. I think this is supposed to be a dupe for the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette, which I don't think is available anymore. I still have the whatever it's called on it because that shade, as you can see, is busted up. As you can see, unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to try this yet, and part of me wants to donate it for that reason because I have Mercury Retrograde, so I would use that one instead. But also, this would be a really nice alternative to that palette, especially if Mercury Retrograde is not available anymore. So I'm gonna put this in like a maybe pile. I'm gonna keep it for now, and then I'll see if I end up using it in the future. Next up, we have this Jason Wu palette. This is the Flora Matte Agave palette. I actually really, really enjoy this palette. I think it's a great all matte drugstore option if that is what you need in your collection. However, I have the all matte Patrick Ta palette, so I'm going to keep that one, and I'm going to give this away. I'm actually going to see if my sister wants this because she does more matte eyeshadows than shimmers or anything, and I think that this would be good for her. Also, same kind of thing. I'm going to see if she wants this Makeup by Mario one. It's a good palette. There's nothing wrong with it inherently. It's just if I'm going to reach for all mattes, I'm going to reach for the Patrick Ta one instead. So I don't really have like a use for these two anymore. So I'm going to give both of those away and see if my sister wants them. I think that she would enjoy both of them, but both of them are like good quality. Then we have a couple Huda Beauty palettes. The first one being the, oops, I'm getting eyeshadow everywhere. The first one being the Wild Jaguar palette. This came out a couple years ago at this point. I only got a chance to use it a couple times, and every time I used it, I not really struggled. I just didn't like love my look. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one. Then we have the Khaki Haze palette, another one that when I use it, I don't love my look. Looking at it, the color story, absolutely stunning. Like this is a color story that I would enjoy, but every time I've used it in the past, my experience with it is not positive. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one as well. One I'm definitely keeping is the Nude Light palette. I'm obsessed with this palette. I love it. I love it. I love it so stinking much. You'd have to pry it out of my hands. I keep saying that about all my favorite palettes, but it's true. Definitely going to be keeping this one. And then I have the Rose Quartz palette. This is pretty. I don't use it as much as I probably should, but I'm going to keep it because it was expensive. And when I use it, I do like it. And then, like I said, I have the Mercury Retrograde. So I feel like well, is that supposed to be duping the Mercury Retrograde? Because I don't think they look that similar. Anyways, I'm going to keep this too. I usually like Huda's big palettes like this. The past couple years, her color stories haven't really been vibing with me, which is a bummer because she releases these once a year for holidays, and I usually end up picking them up and loving them. But like I said, I haven't enjoyed the color story, so hopefully this year, 2024, later in the year, I will like the color story and pick it up. But regardless, anyway, I'm like babbling. I'm keeping this. And then this pile right here, this is the Glam Light Wine palette. I have used this one time, you guys. Yeah, I know, because look at the color story. It's not something that I would use a lot of, but the one time I used it was for a video, like probably a year and a half ago at this point, and the mattes were so patchy on me. Should I keep it and try it again? Yes, 100% I should, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go ahead and donate this. I think it's beautiful. I think the color story is stunning, and I think someone out there would get a lot of use out of this, but I just don't think that someone is me. I'm going to keep the Pure and Raw Beauty Christy palette just because I love Christy so much. I don't use this. I should, but I don't. So maybe I shouldn't keep it, but I can't let it go. I'm going to definitely keep this. Then we have the True Luscious Flora Furosia palette. I have used this a couple times and it really confuses me. I kind of struggle getting looks out of it. The quality was nice when I used it, but it doesn't shut anymore, so that's a bummer. And I just am not getting use out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. I'm going to go ahead and keep the Odin's Eye Soul Mane 2 palette. It's very colorful, and I don't wear a lot of colors these days, but I feel like when I do, this is a good quality to reach for color. And also, it's my only Odin's Eye palette, so I just want to keep it. Then we have the Nobla Side by Side palette. I was so bummed by this palette. I thought I was going to absolutely love it, and I don't. I don't love the quality. I don't love the color story, how it looks on me, how it performs, none of the above. I wanted it for years, and I finally picked it up on sale, and I've tried, you guys, and I just don't like it. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that, declutter that. The Scott Barnes one, this is his Natural palette, Natural #1 palette. Another one that I thought I was going to love so much, but I ended up not liking it, unfortunately. It's too dark for me. There's not enough lighter mattes and lighter shimmers for my skin tone. So that's just kind of a preference thing. So I'm going to go ahead and declutter that. And then the Jaclyn Hill palette by Morphe. Part of me doesn't want to get rid of this just because it's such a cult classic. I don't want to regret decluttering it because I regretted decluttering my first Naked palette. I should have kept it just because the memories, the nostalgia of it. So part of me wants to keep this for that reason. However, it's very old. It's literally like 6, maybe 7 years old at this point. So I wouldn't use it on my eyes. And also, I don't like Jaclyn Hill anymore. I don't support her anymore. I think she's been in way too many controversies. She's never really seemed to own up to anything, honestly. I don't know if she's that good of a person anymore. So I don't watch her videos. If she still had her makeup line out, she closed it, but if she still had it out, I wouldn't purchase from it anymore, and I wouldn't use this. So I am going to throw this away, actually, because it's just too old and expired and all of that. So bye. See you later. Okie doke, we're in the home stretch. I'm 99% sure that this is the rest of my palettes to go through. So first we have this little Kaja Bento Stack in Chocolate Dahlia. I was actually not as impressed with this as I thought it was going to be. The shimmer is okay, and it has a ton of fallout on my face. This is a pretty shade, and then this one right here just kind of fluffs away by the end of the day. It kind of disappears. But with all that being said, I know I just kind of talked crap about it. I'm going to keep it. I think it's a cute little stack, and I'm going to hopefully get it to work out for me. And we have this one from Charlotte Tilbury. This is her Starry Eyes to Hypnotize palette. This is actually pretty old. I've had it for a couple years at this point, and I have not reached for it in, I cannot remember. It's been a very long time, but I really do love this palette whenever I do reach for it. I love the greens, as you can tell. They're like the most used out of here. Also, this is my only Charlotte Tilbury palette, surprisingly. Maybe I should get some more in the future, but this is my only one for right now, so I am going to keep this. The Urban Decay Naked Honey, this has survived quite a few declutters at this point, and I just don't really love this palette. It's an okay palette, but it's really, really warm leaning, which isn't my preference for most of the time. Also, the mattes are really lackluster. They just kind of fluff away, and then you have to build them a lot, and then the shimmers all look the same on my eyes. So I'm finally going to let this one go. Then we have the Heather Austin palette with Adept Cosmetics. I'm going to keep this only because it was expensive, and there's a couple colors that are like really unique in my collection, but these kind of shimmers are not really what I'm going for these days. They are very, very intense on the eyes, and the mattes kind of make it hard to make a look. So I'm going to keep this again because it was expensive, but it's not my favorite palette, so we'll see how much use I get out of it in the future, but I'm not ready to let it go. And then let me do these 2 Sigma palettes before we dive into Pat McGrath and Natasha Denona, because there's a lot of them. The Sigma Enchanted palette, I got sent this in friend mail. One of my friends didn't really love it and knew I wanted to try it, and when I did, I was pretty disappointed. I just don't think Sigma is my brand. They have a lot of hype. A lot of people love their eyeshadows, but I just personally don't. The mattes are okay. It's more the shimmers. I never know what sort of formulation I'm going to get, and a lot of them are toppers, which is, I don't know, just not like what I prefer. So I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this one. I'm also gonna declutter the Sigma New Mod. I wanted this so bad, and I was so excited when I picked it up on sale. And looking at it, the color story is stunning, but every single solitary time I've used it, I've not liked my look. The mattes are all too dark for me. This is really the only light matte, and it shows up darker on my eyes than it looks in the pan. And then everything else is super dark. And then same with the shimmers. This is really the only light shimmer, and most of them are like super toppery, and this one's like the prettiest one, but I'm not keeping this whole palette for like that one shade, you know. So I'm sorry, Sigma. I just don't think you are the brand for me, and I don't know if I'm going to try anything else from you in the future. All right, then we have a lot of Pat McGrath, okay? Don't judge, please. I've got almost all of them on sale, a couple of them through friend mail, and all of that. So this one is her Mothership Mega Celestial Divinity. This was one of her holiday palettes a couple years ago. I picked this up on sale when she brought it back. I don't like this palette. Every time I've used it, I don't like my looks. Same kind of thing. There's only one light matte, and then the rest, the shimmers are just, Okay, like, and I feel like I have these shimmers in other Pat McGrath palettes and other palettes in my collection, so I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this one. I am gonna keep her other mega palette though, the Celestial Odyssey. This one I get more use out of, maybe. This one I get more use out of, and actually when I first got it, I was using it a lot. Like, it is a really stunning palette. Still kind of limited when it comes to the mattes, but these shimmers are more ones that I would more prefer. What am I trying to say? These shimmers are ones that I would prefer to wear more often than the other ones. So I'm going to keep this one. Oh, whoopsies, this Gimme Glow one snuck in here, and then we'll get back to Pat McGrath. This is the Gimme Glow Cosmetics Pastel Dreams. I love this palette. I don't really own a lot of pastels in my collection, but when I want to reach for them on the rare occasion that I do, this is the palette I'm going to use. Such good quality, amazing, beautiful, definitely keeping. Okay, back to Pat McGrath. This is her Venus and Fleur's Luxe Quad Voyeuristic Vixen. I'm actually going to keep this. I think this matte is pretty patchy. I don't love it, but these are really beautiful. And this is like a really stunning duochrome sort of shade. And on the eyes, it is beautiful. I don't usually go for this more cranberry shade, but it's stunning. So I am going to go ahead and keep this one. Then we have the Celestial Divinity Luxe Quad in Interstellar Icon. This was sent to me in friend mail. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. It's probably pretty old at this point. I've had it for a couple years. This is not a color story I'm going to reach for very often, so I'm going to declutter this one. Then we have, oh, I don't remember what this one's called. It's the one with like all her 4 special shades. I'm going to keep this. I don't know if I've ever used it. I think I've used it one time. This was sent to me in friend mail as well, but I'm going to go ahead and keep it just because these are pretty unique shades in my collection and unique for Pat McGrath. And then the last little quad I have is her Celestial Divinity Luxe Quad in Risque Rose. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one as well. The couple of times I've used it, I haven't loved my look. These got patchy on me. This is pretty. It's like a really unique shade, but like a purpley silver. But I don't know. I just don't think I want to. Oh, maybe I do want to keep this because this is really pretty too. Shoot. Okay. I'm going to keep this. Yeah, I'm going to keep this. I kind of convinced myself just for these 2 shades, specifically this one, but not for this one. This was sent to me in friend mail. I don't know if I said that, but yeah, okay, you're going to get kept. Alrighty, I went ahead and took a little break because my back was hurting and I needed to sit down for a minute. And I thought about this and I am actually going to go ahead and declutter this. I just don't think I'm going to get any use out of it. Then we have her Bridgerton collection. This is the first one, Diamond of the First Water. This is one of my favorite palettes. I love it, especially for these 2 shades right here. This formulation she has in her satin mattes are absolutely stunning. I love this. You'd have to pry this out of my hands. This is for the second one in the collection, the Belle of the Ball. I actually don't love this one as much, but I am going to go ahead and keep it. I'm not ready to let it go. And then this one right here was in her Valentine's Day collection from last year. I don't know. Iconic Infatuation. I just don't really think anything special about this. The mattes are okay. The shims are okay. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and declutter this. Now we're going to get into my motherships. Disclaimer, the ones that I bought, I got on sale, and then I got a couple through friend mail. So just go easy on me. I know this is like really expensive, but this one is, oh shoot, I should have re-looked up the names of them because I haven't used them in a while and I forget. I think this is the first one, Sublime. Anyways, this is a really beautiful cool tone palette. I actually really do love this one. This is one that I bought myself and I think it's stunning, so I am going to keep this. Then we have, I'm not sure. Oh, this is, I can't remember the name of this one, you guys. It's like right on the tip of my tongue. It's like the most popular one that a lot of people own. Anyways, I'm going to keep this one too. I think these special shades, especially these 2 right here, are stunning. So I'm going to keep this. Oh, what is this called? Moonlight? No. Oh, that's going to drive me insane. I'm sorry. I can't remember, but I'm going to keep that. Then we have this one right here. I also don't remember. I feel like a terrible makeup YouTuber right now. I should have brushed up on the names of these palettes, but do I want to keep this? Literally, if I kept it, it would be for these 3 special shades because they are just so stunning. All right, yeah, I can't let go of that. I'm gonna keep that one as well. I thought I was gonna be more ruthless with these, but I have not been. This is Moonlit Seduction, I believe. This is like a newer-ish one I got a couple years ago. Not my favorite palette ever. It kind of makes me sick that I spent as much money on it as I did, but I'm gonna keep it. Then we have Divine Rose. One. I'm going to keep this. I think it's really beautiful, but I am going to get rid of this one. This should be Divine Rose 2. Yeah, I just don't love this color story. The special shades are just not one that I really reach for, especially this one that like shifts all around. So this is one I'm going to declutter one of them, guys. I thought I was going to be more ruthless than that. And then I looked at them and I wasn't. I'm not strong enough. So this is the only one that is going away. All right, let's get into these before we finish off strong with Natasha Denona. We have all three Patrick Ta palettes. I got two of them sent in PR and then I purchased one of them. So this is the first one. I am going to go ahead and keep this. I think it's really pretty. Not my favorite palette in the whole world, but I do reach for it on occasion. Then we have the Major Dimensions 2 Rose palette. Obsessed. I'm still obsessed with this palette. I used it for the first time last week when I went out with some friends for dinner. Did an all matte look with these down here. Oh, so pretty. I love this palette. And then the most recent one to me is the Major Dimensions 3 matte palette. If you recall, I got rid of my other two matte palettes to keep this one. So we're going to keep this. Then we have this one right here from Moira Beauty. This is the Celestial Love palette. I'm actually keeping this. Well, I'm 100% keeping this because I have not gotten a chance to use it. I bought a whole face of Moira Beauty. Like literally a whole entire face. Primer, foundation, concealer, powder, bronzer, blush, highlight, eyeshadow, like the whole shebang. I'm going to eventually film a whole face of Moira Beauty, trying it out for you guys. So definitely need to keep this. I gotta try it in that video. And then we have the Blend Bonnie Cosmetics All Done Up palette. Definitely keeping. Love this so stinking much, especially the mattes. Stunning. One of my favorite palettes ever. And then the Glaminatrix Nearly Natural palette. Not my favorite, but it's newer to me. If I can open it, it's newer to me and I do think it's pretty, so I'm going to keep this. Okay, I said a second ago that we were ending strong with Natasha Denona, but not strong in the sense that I'm going to declutter a lot, because I'm just not going to, you guys. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I have a couple of her minis, as you can see. I did think about decluttering some of these. I really did. But I'm not going to. I'm going to keep them all. They're so small and little and compact, and I love all of them. So this one right here is the My Mini Dream palette, the brand new one to me. I actually have used this quite a few times, and it's growing on me. I think it's stunning and beautiful. I'm keeping that. This one right here is the Mini Glam. Yeah, this was one that I thought about decluttering just because I don't use it very often. But yeah, I'm not going to. I'm going to keep it. Then we have the Mini Retro palette. Super stunning. I'm not going to say that I'm going to keep all of them because I am keeping all of them. But we also have the Mini Zendo, also really stunning and beautiful. One of my favorites right here is the Mini Gold. I love these greens. I usually don't go for a super goldy gold like this, but something about like these mattes and pairing it with this green, it works. It works. I love it. Oops, sorry. Also, Mini Nude. You guys, are you kidding me? First of all, look at that pan. Look at those dents. Look at this beat up, used and abused, loved palette. I love this thing. You say with me, you would have to pry this out of my hands. I can't do it. And then this is another one that I thought about decluttering, the Mini Lila palette. Lila. But I'm not going to because of these two shades right here. And I know that's kind of silly to keep a whole palette for two shades that are very neutral and easy to find in other palettes, but I just love them so much, making a look with these two, that I can't do it, you guys. So then we have the Glam Face palette. Definitely going to be keeping this as well. These shades down here are like the best Natasha Denona eyeshadows she's ever came out with, especially these two shimmers. Absolutely stunning. Don't really use the blush or the highlight, but you know, they're there and pretty. Definitely keeping this. Then we have the I Need a Nude palette, another one I'm going to be keeping. It's stunning and beautiful. Not my favorite palette ever, but I do like it. Whenever I use it, I like my looks. Then we have the Glam Face palette, another one. Oh, no, this is just the Glam palette. I'm sorry. Whoa. That is very annoying. As you can tell, I haven't reached for this palette in a hot second. But also, as you can tell, this is a really beautiful, well-loved palette. And whenever I do reach for it, I love my looks. I think it is a great quality as well. Then we have the Retro Glam, probably my least favorite of the palettes that I own from her right now. I just don't really love the color story. The quality is not what I'm used to from her. These two pinks look exactly the same on the eyes. These two greens look exactly the same on the eyes. These two, like, we have a lot of repetitive shades that I didn't think we needed in here, but I just... not going to do it. Then we have the Love palette. I love the Love palette. I say that every time I talk about this palette, and I know it's so corny, but it's so true. It's just a really beautiful palette whenever I'm in the mood for pinks. And last but not least, we have the Sunrise palette. This baby is old. This is the first midi palette she ever came out with. couple years ago at this point. Like it's probably old and definitely expired, but I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm going to keep all my Natasha Denona palettes. So, okay, I just counted. I'm decluttering 46 palettes, which is good. Okay, all right, but I'm keeping 86 palettes. I don't feel good about that. I thought I was going to be more ruthless than that and pare my collection down more than that. So I'm going to sit on it for a few days and I'll let you know if I end up decluttering any more. And if not, I will probably end up decluttering, like doing another eyeshadow palette like later in the year, because some of these are PR that I haven't had a chance to try. So I got to decide if I am going to try them or not. And some of them, like I could have been more ruthless. I have a pile of like 4 or 5 right now that I'm staring at that I probably could have decluttered, but I like don't want to let go of them yet. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just don't feel good. I thought I was going to declutter more than that and be more ruthless. So apparently that's something that I struggle with, is getting rid of things, which I know that about myself. But anyways, that was my eyeshadow palette declutter. Thank you so much for sticking with me and hanging out while I did that. I feel like this might be a long video. So if it was, thank you so much if you made it to this point. But if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. You're awesome and I love you. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you have not yet. And I hope to see you on my next video. Bye, guys.